Hey, this is Rob Leo, and in this video, we're going to take a look at how you can use rubrics to give students targeted feedback in Google Classroom. I'm just going to edit an assignment I've already set up here. I just have a simple writing assignment, and I didn't even put a prompt. I just said type an essay in Google Docs and turn it in. I would assume you would have more detail about what you want students to do, but let me edit this just to show you where the rubric creator is. Bottom right, you can see when you're in edit mode of the assignment, you can add a rubric. And if you've already made one before within Google Classroom, you can reuse one or you can create one from scratch. When you create from scratch, you're going to give it criteria and a description. So I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment, but then you're going to assign your point values. You can choose to give it a title if you want and a description for what those criteria are. And when you're ready, you can add more criteria for a different type of criteria. So let's say this is your introduction. Let's say you have you want to focus on analysis of an essay, facts, examples, details. You can continue to add criteria and add a scale. This is worth 1 point, but if you want to add another one, you can go to the right and add 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, etc. I'm not going to create that now. I feel like it would take too much time, but it's a pretty simple process. I've already created one, and I essentially went to the global history regents and copied I think, comparative essay. Notice I don't have access to a rubric in this particular course. I haven't used rubrics yet for this class. However, I have used them in a different class, and if I know where it is, I can click on that and select it. So this rubric is now attached, and let's just take a look at what it looks like. Remember the criteria, introduction and conclusion, and then the scale, 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. This was just a matter of editing this rubric. Another criteria task, 5 points, description, 4 points, description, etc., etc. This goes all the way through for a 25-point scale. So this whole essay worth 25 points. This was automatically created. If I go to edit this rubric, again, you can see the criteria title, introduction, and conclusion, which I typed in, and then the criteria description, 5 points. I did not put a level title. I simply included a description. You could call this, exceeds the standards, meets the standards, developing, et cetera, et cetera. So when you want to add more criteria, again, a new box comes up, so to speak. And the next component that I'm grading is the task. No description required, but the point levels have the descriptions. Thoroughly develops all aspects of the task evenly in depth. Develops all aspects, but may do so unevenly. 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. Again, I added more criteria. New box popped up. Analysis was that criteria title. And again, copying and pasting from the New York State Regents 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. Same thing with facts, examples, details. And then finally, organization. So I'm all set with this. I like it. I can close this out. I don't really need to edit it. It's still attached. And now I can save this assignment. Let's take a look at what it looks like from the student point of view. The student, in this case, has already attached their work. There's an assignment attachment. I'm simply going to turn this in. But notice the student does see what the criteria might look like. They don't see any details unless they click on the title. Then they can see what each one of those looks like. They can do this even before they turn in the assignment. But you can kind of give them a heads up about what you are grading and what specifically you're looking for using this rubric generator. So that's all set. Let's take a look at what the teacher can do next. Now that this has been turned in, let's just refresh the page here. I'll wait patiently. I should see that one of these assignments has now been turned in. Sure enough, let's take a look. And when I click on the student's work, just like you would traditionally see whenever you're grading in Google Classroom, you can add your comments in the margins. You can click the drop down to get the full menu view of the document. You can continue to highlight and give comments, but your rubric generator is still over here. And if you want to go down and select a component, let's say this student did a decent job, it's automatically adding points to the activity. And as you go down to task, again, you can click the drop down. You can select a level for what the student has done. And again, as you go up, you can see that the grading is automatically accumulating as you go through this. It's not meant to be a replacement for your specific feedback, but it is a nice general way to get some targeted feedback about student work. Let me just go through this and continue to add points to the rubric. And now that we're all set, you can see this student got 19 out of 25. The grading was fairly automatic. And when I return this to the student, they should then see specifically what they earned on the rubric. So let's take a look at this from the student point of view. We'll just refresh the page. I wouldn't even have to refresh the page. The student can now see in bright colors what they earned based on the various components of the rubric. They have to click on the titles to expand, but they can scroll horizontally to see the points they earned. Again, you want to give more feedback, you can do that on the document itself, but this is a nice way to give the students some feedback about how they are meeting standards. In this case, for a New York State Regents, but it can be any rubric that you make up. Again, you give the criteria a title, then you give point values and descriptions for what those point values are worth. Once you've made one, you can reuse it for any of your classes. You just have to remember which class you made it for, but they are reusable among your classes. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this useful.